Welcome back to the vlog. Today it is 11:28 a.m. We're doing a $300 buy-in at the 1-3 game at Humble Casino, and the first hand I pick up on the button a few minutes after we start is pocket sixes. Action folds to the hijack. He thinks he has a hand worth $12, and I definitely have a hand worth set mining. See if I can't pop a six, double up against ace-king. I make the call. The blinds fold out of the way, and we're going mano-a-mano to the flop. The dealer burns, flips over the cards, and on the board I see a six. It's a very disconnected safe board, praying my opponent has ace-jack, but he defers to a check. I don't like to see it. He would definitely have bet a jack, so I'm going to check. This is a safe enough board to see a free card, let him catch up, hoping for an ace, but get the opposite. I usually never, as a rule, let people catch up, but sometimes your hand is so strong you have to. He checks again. If this pot is going to grow, I'm going to have to do the watering by myself. I grab four reds, put them into the center. That's $20. That's almost a pot-sized bet. It's a pretty large bet, a greedy bet. I'm looking to get money in on the river, and you can't do that without a decent-sized pot, but I don't think he has anything. He probably has an ace high, king high, and so I should just bet maybe like 10 or third pot size bet like the online pros and the tournament pros do in order to sucker him in so he can hit that ace on the river. And there it is. He shows the ace of clubs and he tosses his hand away. So I'm lassoing in a small pot, but at the beginning of a session especially, I'd much rather win a small pot than lose a small pot. It's so important to get above that $300 threshold. And two hands and 2 minutes later, I get pocket eights. They're just coming in today. Hopefully it keeps up, and hopefully the pocket pairs just keep getting bigger and bigger. Action folds around to the low jack, who goes with a rather large sizing of 16. And at the beginning of the session with only a $300 stack, you should probably be folding a lot of small pocket pairs to a 5x bet. And at these small stakes, there aren't a lot of 3 bets, and typically a bet of 16 instead of 12 indicates a premium of some sort. I call this time because eights are pretty strong, and my position is extremely strong. The player to my left makes the call as well. The button folds, and the small blind follows suit. The big blind tosses chips in. He wants to pay 13 to win 71. He likes those odds. 4 ways to the flop. I'm still buzzing with electricity from my maiden set. I'm in position with plenty of people to pay me off if I hit. I send a little prayer to the poker gods, and oh baby, what a response time. Absolutely banger of a flop. There are a few dangerous aspects of the board, so the question is, what am I going to do if a bet's put out? There are a lot of ways this pot could explode, but if I raise right now, I'll snuff the fun flame. I make the call. Sadly, the player to my left insta-folds. The big blind folds quickly as well. I don't mind being heads up against the original aggressor, especially when an ace peels on the turn. Although the flop bet could have simply been a continuation bet, that ace smacks his range and he continues by betting 35. Betting on the ace is a great play considering our respective ranges, but that ace is also completely unblocked by my pocket eights. There's no way he ends up here with the ace 8 suited. Remember, he opened for 16, so I'm going to turn up the heat, and I grab a stack with the plan of shoving on the river. I bet 80, leaving me with 200 behind. If we go to the river, it's going to be a $300 pot and a $200 jam. Going to be hard for him to fold a strong ace. But no, he's not quickly calling. He's taking another look at his cards. He could easily have something like queens or jacks, which would explain the large opening raise and the reluctance to call. And no, he tosses his hand away. I really thought we were going to get a clean double up. I hit 2 sets, but didn't make a ton of money off of them. There's always room for a third set. I'm ready and willing, and I hope you're ready and willing to drop a like on this video. Thank you so much for your interaction. It really helps the channel. 409 on my stack, and I get a juicy hand, king, queen of hearts in the big blind. 2 hands later, 13 minutes into the session. Starting off with a little bit of a heater, the middle position player calls. The hijack throws in chips. Action's on the cutoff. He makes the call as well. The button folds, the small blind calls, and I go for a painfully undersized bet of 20. Definitely should have made it at least 30. The hijack makes the call. The small blind calls as well. 66 in the pot. 3-way action to the flop, and it comes out a complete dud. Although it could be a complete dud for everyone else. I'm not going to give up the pot just yet when the small blind checks on me. I make it 25, and things don't go according to plan when the hijack calls and the small blind calls. The small blind I have to be a little bit worried about. The 7 on the turn changes nothing. Actually helps my opponents a lot, creates a lot of good hands that my opponents are much more likely to have than me, besides maybe like diamonds or aces. 9 on the river. The small blind sends it to me. I check. If it checks through, I might take this hand down. But the hijack has something else in mind. He bets a small $30 bet, $171 in the pot. The small blind tosses his hand away, and I only have to call $30 to win 200. I only have to win this pot once out of every 7 times to make this a profitable call. I do have a very high card, but he could have anything to beat me. But what would he check last act on the turn that he would bet now? So he's telling me that he's going for thin value with a 9. I decide to look him up. I make the call, maybe a terrible call. He flips over the nut flush. I can't believe he checked that on the turn. but he did squeeze out an extra $30 from me, so good for him. He got called with king high, 334 my stack, and the very next hand in the small blind I pick up pocket jacks. This is unbelievable. The under the gun player limps. Everyone else folds. I make it 15. I'm not sure about my sizing. The big blind calls. The under the gun player calls 3 ways to the flop, 45 in the pot, and it comes 9 high. It's a paired board. Kind of a stale board. I'm either crushing or I'm crushed, but I'm going to continue building the pot, protecting my jacks against hearts. I make it 20, and the player on my left immediately calls. The under the gun player tosses his hand away, heads up to the turn. It's a 3 of hearts, 3 hearts on board. I don't want this hand to get out of control, so I go into check call mode. He checks right behind, and the river brings a 4th heart, no heart in my hand. I check again, and he checks back, flips over pocket deuces with the deuce of hearts. If I would have just continued a little bit of aggression, he would have folded on either street. Finally, we get to fold a few hands, take a little breather. $2.99 in my stack, but not for long because pocket queens are on the docket 7 minutes later in middle position. There's a straddle on the pot. I open the action to 20. It folds around to the undergun straddle, and he makes the call. We go to the flop. It comes 10 high, another paired board, just like the jacks. He sends the action my way. I'm experiencing a little bit of deja vu. I could check this, but I don't like to give free cards. I bet 20, half-size pot bet. I'm wondering if my opponent's going to tag along. It's such a dry board, but he does come for the ride. Maybe he has a 10. That would be really nice if he had a 10. Well, fuck. Just like the last hand, getting worse and worse. I check to be safe. An ace comes on the river. Even worse, he checks. He's just trying to get to showdown. I guess I am too now at this point. I show my queens, and my queens are good. I'd much rather win a small pot over losing a small pot, but I've had such potential for big hands, and they've all kind of fizzled out. It's just happened sometime in poker, and I don't have to wait long because I get pocket queens again. I put out a $15 bet. Unfortunately, everyone folds. I want to thank everyone who's picked up a badass cold hard cash card protector. You are supporting the channel. You're helping me do what I love to do. I've shipped these all over the place. Singapore, Norway, Russia, Colombia, Canada, not North Korea. Get yours today. Finally, we have a lull in cards. Have to wait about 20 minutes before our next playable hand. Ace Jack offsuit under the gun, just a little bit over my buy-in of 300 at 342. There's a straddle on the pot. I raise up to 20. And the hijack ships his whole stack in. $49 to go. Only 29 more for me to call. Everyone folds. I make the call. And we're going to a run out. The villain reveals his hand. Pocket sixes. It's a race. The flop comes in his favor. And this has been a tough session. I need this break. Only 2 cards to come. And there it is, baby. Sigh of relief. The 4 seals the deal. Psychologically is great. I would have been stuck right under my buy-in again, but now I'm building up an actual chip stack where I can do battle. Remember, I sat down at 11:30. It's only 12:20. I've been here for less than an hour. I get a small pocket pair and take down a small pot. Then the dealer passes around the next hand. I take a peek at the first card. It's an ace. It's always a beautiful thing to see an ace for the first card, but you always pray, please don't mess up the second card. And ace king of hearts. How beautiful is that to look at? The under the gun limps. The middle position player limps as well. So does the other middle position player. Actions on me. I'm, of course, going to put in a bet. Want to size up a little bit because of the limpers. I make it 20. Folds back around to the undergun player. And, of course, those limpers turn into callers. The undergun, the middle position, and the other middle position player calls. 84 in the pot. 4 ways to the flop. And we flop. A beauty. It's hard to look at. It's so beautiful. Action checks to me. No one wants to bet. There's 3 other players in this pot. Of course, I'm going to put in a bet. Someone has to have something. I make it 25, and they insta-muck. All 3 of them. Can you run it out?
See what the turn river is. Somebody reach over. Somebody reach over.
I don't even want to see a 3.
Oh.
It's fun seeing your table as excited to see the run out as you are. Unfortunately, I didn't hit it. I have a friend, actually a friend that I went to kindergarten with, which is incredible to still be friends with him, coming into town. So I got to get up. I got to run. I got to take these chips, head to the cage to turn them into cold, hard cash. In for 300, out for 474 for a profit of $174. Not bad for 2 hours. Thank you so much for watching. Kato out.